On May 5th, I was privileged to do something I had never done before in my 70 plus years on this planet. I went birding, a birding expedition. Greg and I were among other UUs who had purchased this opportunity, the fundraising campaign before the pandemic closed down in the spring of 2020. Of course, the event had to be postponed. Actually, I'd forgotten all about it. Of course, Sally Revolt, an avid birder herself, and the church member offering the experience had not. So she rescheduled after we were all vaccinated and felt safe enough to be outside together for a shorebird watching experience. Sally had arranged for Dr. Abby Sterling, a shorebird biologist, to share information with us as we walked along the shore with our binoculars, pointing out sightings of not only birds, but other creatures as well. I even found out that I could save a life that day, and I did. Saved the life of a horseshoe crab that was beached on her back, but still living. Abby showed us how we could gently pick them up and put them back in the water. Now, if I had known that this experience was going to be sermon fodder, I would have taken notes. But then everything that may happen in a minister's life is sermon fodder. So be aware of that when you invite me to something. You may hear about it from the pulpit. Because I did not take notes and I'm unfamiliar with the various species, I asked Sally to share with me what species she experienced that morning. And here is her list: killdeer, great blue heron, red knots, sanderlings, ruddy turnstones, semi-palmated plovers, Wilson's plover, a female, dunlins, willet, laughing gulls, least tern, and whimbrel. That little piece of beach had lots of diversity that morning. And though I didn't take notes, I do have something called the internet that I could use to go to the Manumets Foundation site that Abby told us about. That's who she works for, and remind myself of things she shared with us. So I'm going to be quoting some information from that site. Our section of the coast in Georgia is studded with barrier islands and highly dynamic inlets and estuaries that support more than 300,000 shorebirds annually. The unique curved coastline of the Georgia Bight, which actually includes some of Florida and South Carolina too, that Georgia Bight, results in large changes of water depth between the low and high tides every day. And that intertidal zone of extensive salt marshes, expansive sand and mud flats, and undisturbed areas of beach create huge areas of potential food resources that are exposed by the receding tide. Abby explained to us how our coastline is a major stopping off place for birds that migrate all the way from the Arctic to South America. During periods of fall and spring migration, Canadian and Alaskan nesting shorebirds such as the short-billed dowitcher, red knot, semi-palmated plover, and black-bellied plover use our islands to rest and to get their rich, abundant food they need to replenish themselves for the rest of their long flight. The Georgia Bight is equally important for shorebirds that spend their winters here, including the Great Lakes breeding population of the piping plover and the American oyster catcher. Breeding birds such as Wilson's plovers and American oyster catchers also rely on the barrier islands, shell rakes, and offshore sandbars along the Georgia Bight. Sadly, many of the species that rely on this important landscape are exhibiting population declines. And that is why it's so important for us to protect this habitat. Did you know that yesterday, May 22nd, was the International Day for Biological Diversity? A day proclaimed by the United Nations to raise awareness about the threats rich biological communities. It's a time to reflect on the importance of stability in the web of life and the risks we face when a species is lost to extinction. I received an email about 10 days ago from a board member of the UU Ministry for the Earth, asking UU ministers like me to consider honoring the biodiversity of our web of life on Sunday, May 23rd. That's today. Now, I had already selected Blue Boat Home as my special music and theme for today. I'd already been inspired by that birding expedition. And I thought, wow, that's a remarkable coincidence. I'm asked to focus on this earth and the web of life on the Sunday when I plan to do it anyway. Now, some would say that it's not just a coincidence. I'm open to that. The email encouraging our acknowledgement of this day goes on to say, for those of us who feel a deep spiritual kinship with the millions of species who share our earthly home, the idea that extinction is a natural and inevitable part of evolution can be difficult to acknowledge. Though we know intellectually that life on Earth has endured a series of mass extinction events, including the Cretaceous extinction 66 million years ago that allowed mammals like us to evolve and flourish, the perishing of a species has a finality that can evoke the pain of grief. Reading about the extinction of passenger pigeons in the early 20th century, whose flocks once darkened the sky, or seeing the images of emaciated polar bears threatened by the disappearance of sea ice due to climate change, and bring us to tears and fill our hearts with anguish. Biologist Edward O. Wilson suggests that we human beings possess sort of an innate biophilia, a love of life that makes us feel a connection to the wondrous diversity of life on Earth. So it's only natural that we should feel such sorrow. But the mass extinction event we are witnessing now was not caused by massive volcanic activity or the unfortunate collision with a meteorite. Human-caused climate change, habitat destruction, and simple indifference and wastefulness has decimated animal and plant populations and accelerated the rate of extinction far beyond natural levels. Familiar species and species we never got to know are disappearing forever, far too soon, leaving us with a biologically and spiritually impoverished world. And I admit, though, I'm sometimes a little cynical about those ads on TV with the sad music showing those polar bears on those icebergs and such, especially when, I'm in a period of time where I'm grieving for family and friends that have died. So I get a little bit cynical sometimes with that sad music. But I realize that the polar bear is just the poster child for the need to save all endangered species, because we're drawn to them for their beauty and perhaps because they don't seem as dangerous to us because they eat fish. What we don't see with the sad music is the disappearance of many species that may hold the cures for diseases that kill us. I'm going to share with you a screen share of a page from the National Wildlife Federation, which makes this a little clearer and has some examples. Hold on a minute. There it is. In the United States, it says that 56% of the 150 most popular prescribed drugs that you and I probably take are linked to discoveries of natural compounds found in the wild. The annual economic value of these 150 drugs alone totals 80 billion. Less than 1% of all plant species have been screened for potential pharmaceutical applications. At the current extinction rate, experts estimate that the Earth is losing one major drug every 2 years. One major drug that could help us out, we're losing every 2 years. A cure for cancer or AIDS may lie in a plant or animal on the brink of extinction. Now, all of these aren't necessarily pretty ones that we want to come up and pet, so that they don't get that much notice, but they're very, very important. Here are 4 examples they give you. The first one's the Pacific yew, a slow-growing tree found in the ancient forests of the Pacific Northwest. It was historically considered a trash tree that was burned after clear-cutting forests. But they found a substance in the bark that's now marketed as Taxol and later identified and approved for the treatment of ovarian, breast, and lung cancer. In these little flowers, rosy periwinkle provides the cure for Hodgkin's disease and certain forms of leukemia. Chemicals extracted from the rosy periwinkle increase the survival rate of children with leukemia from 20 to 80%. The periwinkle was on the brink of extinction due to deforestation until scientists discovered its medicinal value just in time. And then a compound that's called GSM-TX4 was found in the venom of some tarantula species, and that may lead to new treatments for neurological disorders such as Parkinson's disease. Approximately 40,000, let me move my little thing here so I can read this. Approximately 40,000 Americans are diagnosed with Parkinson's disease annually. Some of us have family members that were. And this number does not include the thousands of cases that go undetected. So this ugly little creature that we scream and go away from is a wonder to us and so helpful. And then here's that toad. The Houston toad, which is found exclusively in Southeast Texas, secretes chemicals through its skin to protect itself from predators. These chemicals, such as serotonin and alkaloids, are used as medicines to treat heart and nervous disorders in humans. Today, the Houston toad is threatened by habitat loss and alteration, as well as the invasive fire ant that kills young toads. Are those the toads that the young people used to lick the backs of back when? I don't know. Y'all remember that? So those are some of them. Those are some of those possibilities. Mass extinctions on our planet were caused by natural phenomena like the meteor that hits the earth, previous one. This time, folks, it's caused by us. Just like Prince EA told us, we caused it, and we can do our best to fix it. We are not powerless. We can do something about it if we have the will. As the UU Ministry of Earth Letter stated, let us grieve as we must. Then let us take action to preserve and protect the biodiversity that remains. Billions of our fellow creatures are counting on us. Counting on us. So, what can we do? Too much for one sermon to share, but here's a nice summary of 6 possibilities offered by the Yale Biodiversity website. 1, support local farms. Regularly buying from small farmers at stands and markets helps keep dollars in the local community and supports agricultural efforts to conserve biodiversity. 2, save the bees. Bees are important to preserving biodiversity. They are increasingly under attack from various mites. You can help save them by planting nectar-producing wildflowers in your gardens and backyards or side yards. I know somebody's got along the side yards, or even building bee boxes for local bees to call home. 3, plant local flowers, fruits, and vegetables. Research the flora, fruits, and veggies native to your area and plant a variety in your backyard or a hanging garden. Today, to aid in this effort, support local nurseries that specialize in native species. And these nurseries can be, of course, be great sources of information about plant maintenance and care, which I would certainly need to know about. Number 4, take shorter showers. Biodiversity depends on the abundance of local fresh water. Taking 5-minute showers. I don't need 5 minutes to get myself clean. I don't know why people had to have such long showers and baths. Taking 5-minute showers and turning the water off while washing your hands, doing the dishes. We're taught when we grew up, we just let it run, you know. Brushing your teeth, you just let the water. No, turn it off while you don't have your toothpaste under it. Are all easy ways to conserve water. And 5, respect local habitats. Plants growing in the parks and nature preserves near you often play an important role in preserving the local ecosystem. So when you're outdoors enjoying it, protect the local biodiversity by sticking to the walking path or hiking trail, and help your children and your pets to do the same. And number 6, check the products you buy and the companies you support to ensure that your buying habits are not contributing to the destruction of habitat elsewhere. You have to do your homework. That's what we all need to do a little better with, because money makes a difference where we spend our money. They suggest looking for labels such as FSC, which is Forest Stewardship Council, or Rainforest Alliance certified. Both organizations are committed not only to the conservation of Earth's resources, but also to advocating for the human rights of the native peoples who inhabit many products that the land that many of these products are sourced from. So those are 6 that Yale University puts forward. One thing the list doesn't include is contributing to groups that are doing this good work. There are a lot of groups working on it. We can do our homework and make sure that the money that they're using is not all spent on administration. Now, some administration is needed, folks. You got to have some administration, but you know what I'm talking about. Make sure it's a good place. And remember to support local groups too, like 100 Miles. And so those of us that maybe have a little extra that we can do, we can not only do the 6 things like taking quicker showers, we can give our money to folks that are working hard on this. So I'm going to end this message with these words from the song "We Are the Boat" by Unitarian Pete Seeger and Lori White. Kind of pull it on back to another boat song, another love song for the earth too, and for all of us. Words are, we are the boat, we are the sea. I sail in you, you sail in me. The stream sings it to the river sings it to the sea. The sea sings it to the boat that carries you and me. The boat we are sailing in was built by many hands, and the sea we are sailing on, it touches every land. So with our hopes, we set the sails, face the winds once more, and with our hearts we chart the waters never sailed before. We are the boat, we are the sea. I sail in you, and you sail in me. Amen. And blessed be our blue boat home.